Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Tip. My name is Julian, and today we're going to be talking about players that you can add for Week 15 of the fantasy hockey season. Guys, it's the second week of the playoffs. I hope you made it past your first week. I hope my tips helped you out last week, guys. And if you made it here, guys, we're going to go over some players that you can add this week to help you get through it and hopefully get you to the fantasy hockey finals. Before we get started, guys, please leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and follow me on Twitter, guys. I'd really appreciate the support. Without further ado, guys, let's jump into the schedule, what it's going to look like for next week. So right off the bat, guys, there's one team with a really bad schedule, and that is Columbus, because they only play 2 games next week. There are a lot of teams that play 4 games. It's particularly bad because their 2 games are on Tuesday and on Saturday nights that are pretty busy to begin with. So guys, if you have a Columbus Blue Jacket, I suggest that you drop them now or you drop them after Tuesday's game versus Detroit and then grab someone else to help you through the rest of the week. Now going further into this, guys, the off nights this week are Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Wednesday and Friday are off nights, but they're not too bad. There's a decent amount of games. But on Sunday, there's only one game, and that's Detroit versus Tampa Bay. So that makes players from Detroit and Tampa Bay particularly valuable this week because if you don't have anybody from those teams, then you don't have anybody playing on Sunday. And if you need to catch up some points, well, it's good to have guys that play on those teams. Now, the team whose schedule I like the most this week is the LA Kings. That's because they play the Anaheim Ducks 4 times this week, which is pretty nice. So if you have LA Kings like Kopitar, Dustin Brown, well, you're going to have a pretty nice week from them, hopefully. Now let's jump into some forward options, guys, that I suggest to add to your team for this coming week. If you guys want to check out my video from last week, you can watch that right up there. Still very much relevant, and a lot of the picks that I made, like Reinhardt, Middlestat, Blackwell, are still very much relevant, and you can still very much add those guys to your team because they should help. First on the list, guys, is Tyler Seguin, Dallas Stars, 65% owned, and while I don't normally include players that are over 50% owned, Tyler Seguin will finally be making his return to action this week. Tyler Seguin should join the team probably in time for Thursday's game. Next is Victor Arvidsson, Nashville Predators, 47% owned, and he's been very good as of late. And I don't absolutely love Nashville's schedule this week. Nashville only plays Monday, Tuesday, and Saturday. So if you do grab a Predator, I'm going to have a couple of Predators in this video that I'm presenting. If you do grab one of them, grab them only for the Monday and Tuesday games, and swap them out for somebody else that could help you for the rest of the week. Next is Jared McCann, Pittsburgh Penguins, 44% owned, and he's still doing very well. Even though Kapanen is back in the lineup, McCann has stayed on that second line and is still on the top power play. So guys, as long as he stays in that deployment, keep rolling him out. Next is Sam Bennett, Florida Panthers, 43% owned. And geez, who saw this one coming? He's doing so well playing alongside Huberdeau and Anthony Duclair. As long as he stays hot, guys, he's someone that you can definitely have on your team because he's just putting up goals left and right. Next is David Krejci, Boston Bruins, 42% owned. And I'm also really liking him because finally he has a really good line. Craig Smith has really turned it on. And Taylor Hall is a fantastic left winger for him. As long as that line keeps producing Krejci, someone that you can have on your team for the playoffs, just keep in mind you may not actually be able to fit him on your lineup this week if you have a very full lineup, just because Krejci plays on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So check if you have room for him on those days, because if you don't, there's no reason to pick him up. Next is Phil Kessel, Arizona Coyotes, 39% owned, and I like his schedule this week. He's got 2 games against the San Jose Sharks, and then this weekend he has 2 games against the Vegas Golden Knights. Worst case, if you're not comfortable playing him against the Vegas Golden Knights, you want somebody else, that's fine. Play him for those 2 games against the San Jose Sharks. They're pretty good chances to put up some goals, some points. Next is Jack Hughes, New Jersey Devils, 39% owned, and I don't love New Jersey's schedule this week. They only have 3 games, but all 3 of them are against Philadelphia, and Philadelphia's goalies flat out suck. So if there's any week that he's going to put up points, it's this one. Next is Frank Vatrano, Florida Panthers, 33% owned. And the reason I have this Panthers jersey in the back of me is because they've just been ridiculously good lately. And Frank Vatrano is just another one of their team members that just really turned it on lately. Next is Andre Burakovsky, Colorado Avalanche, 31% owned. And with Mikko Rantanen still on the sidelines, Burakovsky has actually now been promoted to the top line. And it looks like the top power play alongside McKinnon and Landeskog on both of those units. That's pretty damn deadly. And Colorado plays 4 games this week. So if you need to add someone who's just guaranteed to put up points, Burakovsky is, assuming that Rantanen doesn't come back, before then. As soon as Rantanen comes back, Burakovsky becomes a lot less valuable. Next is Ellie Tolvanen, natural players, 21% owned, and this guy's a freaking snipe show. He keeps scoring. He finally came back from injury, and he scored a goal right away. So if you need someone to put in some goals for you, Tolvanen's the guy. Keep in mind, like I said before, if you're picking up a natural predator, stream him only for Monday and Tuesday, and then drop him after that because it's not worth holding on to him to just get one game for the rest of the week. Next are Adrian Kempe and Alex Iafallo. I kind of grouped them together because those two guys are guys that are below 50% owned and are playing against the Ducks 4 times this week. I really like that. So if you want someone who's pretty much guaranteed to put up points, both Kempe and Iafallo should do so. Also, Dustin Brown, he's a little bit above 50% owned, so I couldn't include him in this video. But if he's available in your league, he's a very good ad this week as well. Next is Jesper Bratt, New Jersey Devils, 16% owned, and the dude's been really, really hot. He's finally back from injury as well. And again, 3 games against the Philadelphia Flyers, he's bound to put up a point or 2. Next is Michael Granlund, National Predators, 10% owned, and he seems to be very, very hot right now. He's getting a good amount of top power play time, and he's also playing centering that second line. So I really like him. Also, he has triple eligibility, so that's really, really great. As long as he stays hot, he's definitely someone that merits being on your team. I have him on my team right now, and just like I said with the other guys from Nashville, you're going to want to drop him after Tuesday because Nashville only plays on Saturday after that. Next is Nikita Gusev, Florida Panthers, 8% owned, and while he hasn't been as explosive as a lot of the other Panthers, he's getting top line time with Alex Barkov, and he's also on the top power play. So he has the best opportunity out of anybody I mentioned to really produce because he is on that top power play unit. Next is Yegor Sharangovich, New Jersey Devils, 4% owned. He's playing on the top line with Hughes and Kuokkanen. And guys, again, 3 games against Philadelphia Flyers goalies. I don't mind, especially as a deep league ad where you're really desperate for ads and there's pretty much nobody available. The guy's actually been producing. Jumping into some defensemen now, guys. First on the list is Matt Dumba, Minnesota Wild, 49% owned. And the dude's been on fire lately. He's been the hottest defenseman in all of Minnesota. And, there's a lot of good defensemen in Minnesota. So he's the hot one right now. So, guys, if you need someone to stream, Matt Dumba is looking like a really, really good option. Next is Ryan Ellis, Nashville Predators, 45% owned. And this dude's usually owned in about 70% of leagues. He's only less owned because he was dropped a lot because he was injured. The dude's really, really good, and he should put up some points this week. Again, though, I don't love Nashville players after Tuesday. So just keep that in mind. Next is Jared Spurgeon, Minnesota Wild, 38% owned, and he's kind of dipped off a little bit in production, but he's still getting that top power play time, and he's shooting the puck a lot, so his production should come back. Don't worry too much about that. Next is Matt Grzelcyk, Boston Bruins, 36% owned, and this is a must-add right now. I cannot understand why Grzelcyk is only 36% owned. He's on the top power play with Marchand, Pastrnak, Bergeron. There's no reason at all this dude should be below 50% owned. He's going to produce this week. Next is Ryan Graves, Colorado Avalanche, 32% owned. And I'm not the craziest, biggest fan of him, but Colorado's got 4 games this week, and the dude's always really good for plus minus. He's going to block each some shots. He's going to shoot the puck too. He's going to hit a little bit as well. So this guy's going to do it all for you. He's not necessarily going to put up points, but he's definitely a good peripheral guy, and you're going to get him for 4 games this week. Next is Mike Riley, Boston Bruins, 31% owned. And I thought that once Grzelcyk came back, Riley would become a little bit more useless because he's not on the top power play anymore. Well, he's proved me wrong. He's still playing very, very well. He's getting a lot of minutes, and he's still getting second power play time. So if you need a defenseman, Mike Riley is still a very good option. Next is Alex Goligoski, Arizona Coyotes, 30% owned, and I can't understand why he's still only 30% owned. The dude cannot stop producing. He's still getting top power play time, and he's still getting a lot of ice time, guys. So as long as he's still producing, he's a very good ad, especially this week because Arizona's got 4 games. Next are Tyler Myers and Nate Schmidt, Vancouver Canucks, 29 and 19% owned, and they're both doing very, very well in the couple of games that they've gotten since Vancouver has returned from injury. They're both more peripheral guys than point guys. They'll both get hits, shots, blocks, and they'll kind of do it all without getting too many of any category any particular night. But they're both also getting second power play time, so they can actually put up a point here and there as well. Next is Shane Gostisbehere, Philadelphia Flyers, 9% owned, and 3 games against New Jersey this week. Pretty good chance to get points on the Philadelphia power play. Next is Vince Dunn, St. Louis Blues, 9% owned, and he's been very, very good lately. The only reason I didn't suggest him last week is because St. Louis only played 2 games, and that's not really enough to really merit fantasy relevance. So this week, though, St. Louis has got 4 games, and Vince Dunn is a very hot commodity. I don't mind adding him at all. Next are CC, Dumoulin, and Matheson, Pittsburgh Penguins, 5% and below owned. These guys are owned in very, very few leagues, so If you're really desperate and you need a defenseman, these guys are all producing for Pittsburgh. Their production doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense, but they've been doing it for a while now. They're putting up points. They're putting up decent peripherals. So guys, if you do need a defenseman, I don't hate it. Last but not least is Will Butcher in New Jersey. That was 0% owned. And if you're desperate for a defenseman, Will Butcher is probably the guy for you. Just keep in mind, make sure Ty Smith and PK Subban are still going to be out. But while they are out, Will Butcher has been getting top power play time. And in his first game, he got 3 assists. So if you're desperate, you need a depth defenseman, Butcher's looking like a decent ad. And 3 games against Philadelphia doesn't hurt either. Jumping into some goalies now quickly, Alex Nedeljkovic, Carolina Hurricanes, 47% owned. Looking like the guy in Carolina because Mrazek is day-to-day with an injury. So as long as Mrazek is out, Nedeljkovic will be the guy. He should get 3 out of 4 games for Carolina next week, assuming that Mrazek does not come back from the injury. Next is Jake Ottinger, Dallas Stars, 42% owned, and it's really hard to tell who's going to be starting in Dallas, but he's been playing a lot better than Khudobin, so he should get at least 2 out of the 4 Dallas starts next week. I don't mind that at all. Next is Jake Allen, Montreal Canadiens, 39% owned. I'm not sure if Carey Price is going to be out the entirety of next week, but Jake Allen, as long as Price is out, Allen will be the starter in Montreal. He's been doing very, very well. Next is Brian Elliott, Philadelphia Flyers, 24% owned. And by no means do I like Brian Elliott next week, but if you're really desperate and there's nobody else that I have on this list, even after him, you can pick Brian Elliott up because he could possibly get all 3 Philadelphia Flyer games next week, and it's against New Jersey, so it's not exactly the most potent, dangerous offense in the world. Next is Cal Peterson, Los Angeles Kings, 23% owned, and the Kings play 4 games against the Ducks next week. Peterson could realistically get 3 out of those 4 games, or at the very least, he'll get 2 out of those 4 games, and Jonathan Quick will get the other 2. Should be 2 easy wins. Next is Matt Murray, Ottawa Senators, 22% owned, and the Sens only played 3 times, but he'll get all 3 games, and he's been producing. Like, he's been really, really, really good lately. So if you need someone in a deep league, Murray's actually a very good option. Next is Dustin Tokarski, Buffalo Sabres, 8% owned, and the dude's been pelted with shots every single game. Poor guy. But in leagues where you count saves, Tokarski's actually incredibly valuable, even though he's not necessarily pulling off the wins. I have him in my league, and I think he makes for a pretty good ad in leagues that count saves. Last but not least are 3 goalies that will get the start either Monday or Tuesday because their teams have a back-to-back Monday-Tuesday. So I don't mind you picking them up on Monday and seeing which day they get the start if you need a start on one of those 2 days. Those goalies are James Reimer, Pekka Rinne, and Spencer Knight. Reimer is playing Dallas, and Rinne and Spencer Knight will be playing each other. I put Spencer Knight here because I think Drieger will not be healthy in time for the Monday-Tuesday back-to-back, but if he is, it could be Chris Drieger getting one of the back-to-backs. I don't really want to wait for him to get healthy though, so if he's not ready by then, you can drop him. All right, guys, you've reached the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. I really appreciate it. Please leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment, ask me a fantasy hockey related question. I'll be happy to answer you. Until next time, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Fantasy Tipped.